our politics and government. Can you stand up before we start our session? Can someone lead a prayer? Saya, can you lead a prayer for us?
Yes, we are ready.
Please make that.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Do not bring us to the test, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you very much, Isaiah. So everyone, before you take your seats, please arrange your chairs and pick up pieces of paper under your chairs also, so that our lecture will be supported. So if you're done, thank you very much. So we will prepare ourselves to learn with our new lesson for today. It's on election in the Philippines. But before that, I'm going to give you my rules inside my classroom. If you want to go out and use the comfort tool, you may raise your hand and have the peace sign, so that means you have to go out. And if you want to have questions or clarifications on our topic on the election in the Philippines later, then you can raise your hand and be acknowledged. Do not say anything unless you are acknowledged and acknowledged by me, and then you have to pose your question. So before that, our lesson for today, well, of course, we already knew about the three branches of the government, as well as the fundamental powers of the government. So here, we will have our new lesson, which is the election in the Philippines, because I believe you should know this because the SK election is fast approaching, and this October 30, we will have our election. So who among you will be voting for this year's SK election? Can you raise your hands? 1, 2, 3, 4. How about the others? Are you still not able to vote? Are the others below 18? 16, correct. Anyway, so here we will discuss on the election in the Philippines, and my objective for today's discussion is so students will analyze the historical development of the elections and political parties in the Philippines. Second, students will evaluate the roles and functions of political parties in the Philippine political system. And lastly, you students will reflect on the significance of election and political parties in the democratic society. So here I have created a collage. Please check that. More so, in every election, these are the images that you see. No? We have the ballot boxes, you have the candidates for election, you also have on the day of election, you also have our past President Duterte, of course, his tandem was Cayetano, and also the meeting the avance, or what we call before the election, we should know the platforms of these presidents so that we will know what will be the future of our country. No? Because, selecting for the candidates for our presidency and vice presidency is no joke. Because actually this election is very sacred. Once you will have to elect a bad president, then definitely your Philippines will also be bad. Correct? And our future will be at stake because whoever will lead us, that will be the effect of our country. So here, we will have a reflection question before we'll go to our topic. My reflection question for you is, why is there an election? So I will be giving you these meta cards in which you will have to put here either words or group of words that you think, why do we need to have an election? Or why is election important? So you can use your, let's say, ball pen, sign pen, or anything. Or if you want to borrow this oil pastel, you can also have that. And please return. No? Can you also share with the others? Please. So, in any case, I want you to write down there your prior knowledge, why we need election, or why is there election? Why is it very important to have election? Okay? Can you do that in 15 seconds, please? Whatever that pops into your mind on the word election or that word vote, why do you think it's very important to have an election? Can we do that? If you have no paper, you can have this one. Can you please? Who else have no?
Diba? Naka-live na ba ito?
You can make it a big word so that I can see what are your thoughts on the word election. We are actually seeing that on television, social media, as well as hearing that in radio station on the election, as well as a campaign period. We can hear that later on. October is a campaign period for the Sangguniang Kabataan election as well as the barangay election. But I want you to write there, for you, why is there an election? Or why do we need to elect? Right now, one word, 2 words, 3 words, that's enough. No need to elaborate. Are we done? Just one word. We have one word in mind. Why do we need election? And then we'll process later in your thoughts. Why do we need election? May I ask where is attendance now? Can you please circulate it? Because attendance. Please circulate attendance. Alright, let's start. Let's start. Can we start with Vince? Why is there an election?
So we can choose who will be our president.
Okay, so that we can choose. What then is the importance of choosing these people, Vince? What is the importance of choosing president or vice president in our country? What? You may stand up if you want. Speak in Bisaya if you want.
Para mawan mo kang president, mawan sa mga batas tama.
Laws. Okay. The president creates the law.
No, ang select mga.
Agree. Okay, thank you, Vince. Can we have Malia? Where is Malia? Yes, Malia. I'm sorry, what's that? What did you write in your paper? I have no paper. Why do you think there is a need for election? I'm sorry, what's that? Why do we need to select them? Okay, call a friend now. Can you call a friend, Maria, so that we can keep the ball rolling? Yes, Asaya. Thank you very much, Maria. Asaya, why do you think there is a need for election? Okay. So there is somebody who will lead our country, thank you very much, so that there will be no chaos in our country, because there is somebody we look up to, and secondly, because in regards to that, there is somebody who will manage our government. Okay? Now, we have activity 2, and we will see if you know if these people are elected or appointed. Okay? Okay, let's start with this one. Elected or appointed? Elected. So who is President Duterte here? He is the President of the Philippines, okay? Prior to PBBM, Marcos, so he was the one, so he is an elected. How about this one? Cabinet members. Elected or appointed? Okay. So these cabinet members are appointed. They are not elected, and therefore these are not elected by us. It's only appointed by the president. Therefore, ang atong elect is only the president, and they are only the their term is coterminous of the president, and they are actually the they actually manage also the government and the bureaus. So if the president dies or may retire or resign or maybe increase the necessary, these people will also be no power. Next, how about these one? Elected, appointed, and appointed. Who are these people?
Judiciary.
Okay, the justices of the Philippine Supreme Court. Of the voters. Before we talk about the qualification of the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. Before we go to the qualification of the voters, can I ask somebody what is the age qualification of the president? Can somebody please, Asaya? What is the age qualification of the president? Because I would like to review on that and ask you so that also as a voter, we also have qualifications. So, dili lang kay ang naay qualification are those people we voted, but we also has a qualification in order for us to be able to exercise the right to vote. Yes, Asaya, age qualification of the president. At least 40 years of age. Okay, very good. How about the senator, Jurcel? What is the age requirement of the senator? Okay, at least 35 years of age on the day of election. And lastly, how about the House of Representatives? Yes, Mary Chris, what is the age requirement?
At least 25 years old.
Okay, at least 25 years of age on the day of election. Now, my magic question here. When is the day of election, Gerald?
Second Monday of May.
Yes, very good. Second Monday of May. So here are the qualifications for each one of us who are qualified to vote. By the way, no, meron ding hindi kwalipikado bumoto during the election. But necessarily, this is the basic qualifications. Number one, age requirement. Every citizen who is entitled and qualified to vote must be 18 years of age. So meaning to say, if you are not on the day of election, and therefore you cannot vote, okay? Or you are above 18. So it doesn't mean 18 lang. So it should be 18 years old or above on the day of election or election day who has been a resident. So meron ding residency requirement, which is how many years there? At least 1 year. And 1 year in the Philippines, that's 1 year in the Philippines, and at least 6 months in the place where she or he is registered. And by the way, you cannot register anywhere in the Philippines, only your residence. So something like, if you're a voter in Makabalan, and later on you go to Manila, and you vote there, you cannot vote there because you're not registered. You have to transfer your location, your registration in Manila to be able to qualify to vote there. Because you cannot vote there in Manila because you are registered in Cagayan de Oro City. So therefore, if you want to exercise your right to vote on the day of election, therefore you have to come back here and exercise your right to vote. Because the qualification says at least a year and at least 6 months in the place where she or he is registered. Therefore, one very important qualification to be able to exercise the right to vote is to be registered. Okay? Kung wala kang narehistro, ka magparehistro, COMELEC, Commission on Election. Dito tama pa, rehistro. Okay, kung your name is not registered and you have to register there your name, you have to submit your birth certificate, is your identification that you are actually in the Philippines and that you are living in the Philippines. So that you need to register, and of course, you are not disqualified by law to vote. Actually, we'll not discuss on the disqualification, but that's, other matters, yung that's disqualification. But this is really the basic requirements. And then, to actually vote, a citizen has to register. The COMELEC has a registration period for several months, actually a year before the election. Anticipated naman ang election because we know that it is always every second Monday of May, and every 3 years if it's barangay and local election, and every 6 years for presidential and vice presidential votes, and even senators. 6 years at siya thereafter. So that without you being registered, then of course you cannot vote. My question is, I have a question for you, what is the effect on you if you are not able to vote? Let's just say you did not register. You just shy away the COMELEC's call for registration. Diba, ang panawag ng COMELEC, even the barangay, the COMELEC has a satellite there in which you have to register. Now, my question is, kung sa epekto, kung di mo ka-rehistro, di mo ka-votar, would there be a big effect to you? Anybody? Yes, anyone? Del Rosario, any idea what would be the effect on you if you did not vote during the election, but you could be qualified because you're already 18? Are you 18 already? Yes, okay. What if during the elections you did not mind voting? Or maybe you did not heed for the call of the COMELEC. Wala ka nang bali-baling sa call sa COMELEC na magparehistro. What would be the effect on you if you did not vote during second Monday of May? Could there be an effect? No? Wala? Are you sure? There's no effect on you. But could there be an effect to that on our country? Yes. What could be a very big effect on that? Yes. Gerard, what could be the... Is it a bad or a good effect? Yes? Could there be effects? As you said, there's an effect. What could be the effect? Explain us, Bisaya. So in our country, could there be an effect? Yes? Makadaon. In what way could it be makadaon? Because according to Del Rosario, John Robert, meaning there's no effect on him if he will not vote. What could be a bigger effect on that? Yes? Huh? Yes, James.
Every single vote, ma'am, very important this ma'am.
It is very important, right?
Ma'am, ma'am, kung voice ma'am, gusto mo,
No choice. Second Monday of May, and thereafter, magulat kang 6 years para mapulihan na sa ang lingkod na. So whatever you did not exercise, even though that is your right, that it becomes one vote not being cast, and therefore, ang mudaog na nilingkod din na, nabata na siya vote. Correct? So meaning to say, you have really to exercise your right to vote, and that's a choice. Because later on, you cannot blame whoever is a president, or whoever is your barangay captain, or whoever is your SK chairman there. Uy, pati man kayo ni atong mga presidente and vice president. You don't have any right to complain. Why? Because you did not cast your vote. So meaning to say, one vote not cast for the election day may be detrimental to the country that we are in. Okay? So always all the time, given that you are, you are given the privilege by our 1987 Constitution. Actually, this is the election, and our right to vote is under the 1987 Constitution. And it cannot be taken away from us because our country is democratic. presidential as well as it is more on our choice. And remember, I told you, isa na may power, ang nilingkod or ang nibutar?
Anong butar?
Nibutar. Kaya katong wala pa nilingkod, wag na to sila power, katong wala pa election. But now, you cast your votes. Your fingerprint here, this one, di ba usahay ang kanang, let's say, in the media, in the social media, is katong yung imong kamot. Yan, ibutangan o indelible egg. That is really very sacred. Unless it's your vote that you are actually casting for the election was being bought. Nagpabayad ka. You know that? The vote buying. Because here in the Philippines, you cannot escape the reality that there are candidates that might give you some, as they say, quote and quote, ulan-ulan. Nakatagamtang na ba mga anak? God, yes?
Yes, of
Anyone?
course. Yes, ma'am.
How much?
Ma'am.
2K. Alright, let's not just, tell who the candidate is. But of course, in the election day, honesty is always the best policy, But you said naman, kwarta naman na siya, dili pa nagkakataon. But then, you are asked by your values later, na unsa man yun ay, do you have the values of honesty that you need to vote those who are really deserving? So, kay dili man, ang ato mangyupo is ang deserving. Okay, there are actually two kinds of voters. We are regular voters, Kung atong baybayon or saysayon kung isa yung vote during the election, again, are those 18 years old and above. And these are the absentee voters. Sino ba yung absentee voters? Those are voters, Filipino voters at that, who are not in the Philippines. Who are they? Number one, they are the local absentee voters. These are actually the one na naaral sila din sa Pilipinas, but hindi sila kabutar by reason of their work. Apil na usahay ang mga teachers because we teachers are going to serve during the election. Kung kanang mga nag-serve din sa election, these are tulungan na, have you seen in the precincts, polling place? Wala pa, You did not experience yet. So, mga teachers din then sometimes tunay mga police officers because they will be actually, sila ang protect sa sanctity sa ato ang mga ballots. And secondly, are the overseas absentee voters. Filipinos sila in citizenship, but they are not in the Philippines. Where are they? They are outside the country, but of course, they're still Filipinos, so they still have the right to vote. So usually, those people who are absentee, especially the overseas absentee voters, they will go to the embassies and they will have to vote there. Also, you have the prisoners. They're actually not in the polling place, wala sila sa polling place, but there might be special group that will be there that will be deployed by the COMELEC so that they can also vote. As I said, every person is qualified to vote, whose votes are very important. Botar din sila. Again, Philippine embassies and consulates ang kaling mga absentee voters who are overseas. You say overseas, wala din sa Pilipinas. Okay? So here, these are the, ako lang ipalakbikan gamay. These are actually our president. If we have to go to the history of our electoral system, the first president that we have is actually Emilio Aguinaldo. Emilio Aguinaldo, wherein that was actually the 1899 was the first election. He has no parties. By the way, every candidates actually have parties. Kaning parties, only sila ilang mga partido, hindi mo natin mga partido, DP and everything. These parties are actually created for the reason na sila yung mga plataforma. So kung tanaw na to, again, the first election was during 1899, dugay na kayo so natakaroon year 2023. So that was the first Philippine Republic, and then there was no election during this time because we have the U.S. military government. Remember, from the time of the Spanish period of colonization, we are also colonized by the Americans. That was the U.S. military government at the time, and there was no election. So nailal moment ba, kaya naangay dinting part, we were even being colonized by the U.S. So therefore, 34 years and 134 days, ang mga Amerikano ang sa atong government. No? And after that, you have Manuel L. Quezon, the Commonwealth Republic. So, nang tawag sa atong mga republic, no? Nagsugod siya sa First Philippine Republic. And the last is the Philippine Republic in Mayon. No? So, you have Jose P. Laurel, you have Sergio Osmeña. Sergio Osmeña is from Cebu City. Manuel Rojas, Elpidio Quirino, Ramon Magsaysay, Carlos Garcia. These are our president, actually, no? Para makita ninyo ang atong mga president. Right? And then, but, I think that's the last, no? So, our election is really very important so that we will understand that in a country or in a state, especially in a democratic country, we need election. Nganong need siya? Para ang tao makabalo siya kung sa'y dapat para sa iyang government. So kung wala tayo election, just imagine kung tayo election. Who could be leader? Anybody could be leader. That is why in your classroom, this is the first government that you have. Who is your president here? Is Del Rosario. You also have vice president, etc. etc. Anong kinahanglan pa nga tag-presidente din sa classroom na naamay mo isla? Because that is teaching you on the reason behind, there are rules to follow, there is leader to follow. Eh kung naan kay leader, kung mo respeto ka sa iya, later on, you will also respect the leaders that you have. So kung kanina classroom, wala i-respeto ang leader, then what is this government for? Okay? And then again, election is very important so that we can understand that the people managing your government is your choice. So kung sa may nilingkod karon, di ko ganahan ni PBBM, President Bongbong Marcos, that is our choice. And that is majority. Wala man mo daong siguro sa election na dili majority ang votes. Usa bitaw, pintangon yun kada isa ka boto, kada isa. And if I'm going to share my experience during the COMELEC serve me sa COMELEC, we have no sleep for 24 hours. Why? Because we are actually guarding the sanctity of Congress. No? Kanya karong barangay election, sometimes, di man siya pingkos. Isa-isa yun siya. No? Kanalitan, isa yung magagan. Ramirez, one. Ramirez, kahon. Isa-isa yun siya. So if there is a watcher trying to, ask, wala nang kwenta, they have to palit na sa din. Inanak kahago ang local election. No? Ay nga naman ta magpikos kung presidential, vice presidential, senator, iligan mo kayo. Pwede man lang matikasan ka. Sa natikas, dagdag bawas. Iman ta kabalo sa mo serve din nga teacher. I don't say na manikas ang teacher, but we don't know. There might be realities to that. Honesty ba? Kamu po yan nag-ingon, kamu butan. Kada precinct ang tawag na during the election time, polling place, precinct ang tawag na ay mga police officers yun na magbantay o irregularities. Kung may irregularities na makita nila, pwede ang teacher makasuhan kung makulang palayo. Makasuhan. Why? Because that's fraud. And we cannot, accept that later on, idaog lang ang atong isa ka presidente tungod sa tikas. Because we already have that in Saman. Gloria Macapagal. He was being president. She was being president quickly, but there is dagdag bawas. Remember the Hello Garci scandal? Hello Garci, you know that? The Hello Garci scandal was actually a dagdag bawas versus Fernando Po Jr. Actually, sa Fernando Po dapat yung but it's already proclaimed. He was already proclaimed. Dili naman nato na mabawi. she didn't resign. Well, that did siya. So, well, of course, no, I think that's it. I will have a assignment with you, no? Our assignment will be a reflection later, no reflection. The reflection question is that, what have you learned in our topic today? And then secondly, what could be your biggest realization if there could be no election? No? So you have to put that in one more sheet of paper for our reflection. Okay? Time check, please. What's the time?
12:15.
So, I think it's better na mag-groupings, no, sa yes, for the reflection questions, and then maybe I will have to review na lang siguro how we okay. Anyway, I think that's it. That will be our discussion. And for our assessment, we'll just have an assessment online. Okay? Goodbye, class.
Goodbye and thank you. Ma'am Suzy.
Ano ito, boss?
Nanatan na din, guys. Nanatan na din.
Ma'am, yun na ma'am.